In this lesson we're going to look at covalent bonds. Now covalent bonds are formed when atoms share electrons, and they do this in order to feel like they have a complete outer shell or a filled outer shell. And this is in contrast to an ionic bond in which one element gives its electron to the other element in order to obtain filled outer shells. So the word covalent means sharing. It's where electrons are shared rather than donated. So covalent bonds can exist between different elements, for example hydrogen and chlorine. Now we remember that hydrogen, which is the first element in the periodic table, has one electron in its outer shell, and in this particular shell, this is the 1s shell, it requires just one more electron in order to have a filled shell. Whereas chlorine, which is in group 7, has 7 electrons in its outer shell. We'll represent these electrons with crosses. Okay, these are the dot and cross diagrams for chlorine and hydrogen. So what will happen when the two elements react is that the hydrogen atom and the chlorine atom will come together to share their electrons like this. So hydrogen shares its electron with the chlorine, and the chlorine shares its electron with the hydrogen. That's to say the hydrogen feels like it's got 2 electrons in its outer shell, and likewise the chlorine feels like it's got 8 electrons in its outer shell. So both are happy. Okay, so these are the shared electrons. And we can now represent this using a bond diagram. So hydrogen is joined to the chlorine atom with a single covalent bond, and then each single covalent bond is made from 2 shared electrons. So covalent bonds can be used between different elements, that's to say to form compounds in which 2 different atoms are joined by a covalent bond, or they can be used between the same elements, that's to say where the same type of atom is held together by a covalent bond, for example in the case of fluorine. So fluorine, like chlorine, is in group 7, so it has 7 electrons in its outer shell. Again, it's not happy with those 7 electrons, it wants a completed outer shell, wants a filled outer shell with 8 electrons, and it's going to achieve this by sharing its electron here with the electron from another fluorine atom to form a covalent bond like this. And then 7, and then this fluorine atom has the same. And it shares its electron in the covalent bond so that this fluorine atom thinks it has 8 electrons, this one feels like it has 8 electrons, both are happy. Okay, again we'll represent this using a bond diagram. F joined with a single covalent bond, which will have a formula of F2. That's to say it forms a that's to say it achieves this stable configuration, or what it feels like is a stable configuration, by forming a diatomic molecule. Again, hydrogen chloride will also have the formula HCl. So there is a difference between the formula, that's the formula HCl, and this is the bond diagram.